What's going on, guys? The original Mako back with another tips and tricks video for Gunfire Reborn, and this one's going to be crazy. You're going to want to stay to the end because the last tip that I have is something that I haven't seen anybody cover in any other video of Gunfire Reborn, something that I went into the game, personally tested on stream, got it confirmed by everybody else who was in the stream, so and it's a pretty crazy one. It doesn't seem like you'd use it as often as you might think, but it's absolutely crazy. So make sure to stick around for that. Also, if you want to catch any of my runs live or be part of these tests that we do with me, check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/theoriginalmako, streaming pretty much every single night, Gunfire Reborn content. Link will be in the description, and if you want to see more Gunfire Reborn content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Comment, let me know what type of content you want to see. If you want to see more speed runs, more of the all-weapon challenge, more tips and tricks, guides, more busted synergies, all that type of stuff. Just let me know your thoughts down below. Anyways, let's jump into it. Alright guys, so we are jumping in with a tips and tricks video on Albai. Maybe that's how you say the bear's name. I don't know. The explosive bear is what we're going to be doing, and I'm going to be doing 5 different tips / tricks for you to use, and the first 4 we're going to be able to just knock out right away. The 5th one I'm going to have to go in game and kind of show you guys how it works, because like I said, it's kind of crazy. But this guy is safe to say is the guy I've been maining in this game. I just think the amount of DPS he can do is absolutely wild. And I've been enjoying the synergies he has, and a bunch of the new stuff that came out really benefits him, and I'll kind of be talking about that a little bit. But I figured it'd be nice to kind of get some character tips and tricks out of the way before the new character comes in, character number 3, which is right around the corner. If you haven't heard about that, go check out my video on the update that Gunfire Reborn just had. A pretty massive update, and there's another pretty big one coming relatively soon with the 3rd character in it. So fun times there. But let's just hop into, actually let's read his description first. So right here, a master of explosions and firearms, Albai's expertise with firearms allows him to control 2 weapons at the same time. Also, due to his passion for explosions, he has always been able to make powerful explosives. So there's 2 sentences there, and explosions, explosives. So you can kind of see a theme going on here, the theme being explosives. This leads us to our first tip / trick, which was also in the beginner tips and tricks video. But even more important for this character than the cat, most of the time, use his grenades. His grenades clear enemies through the whole first, like all the way up through the first boss, pretty easily. And it does AoE damage. It's really good clear. If you've got him fully stacked out, and you've got your skill tree fully stacked out, then you've got capacity for 8 grenades off the start, which is massive. A lot of enemies will drop grenades, so most of the time killing enemies with grenades, assuming it only takes 1 or 2, like you're very rarely going to be out of grenades unless that's all you're using. But use it as a utility, because that's what this character was made for. This grenade right here has a lot of synergies with it, with his skill tree, which we'll talk about in a moment. But it's just so good for clearing enemies, especially early, and even getting some extra damage in on the boss. So make sure to utilize his grenades. That's tip number 1, and possibly one of the most useful tips, because it just throughout the whole game, just keep tossing his nades. Don't ever let them just sit there. Number 2, we're kind of going to start talking about the Ascension Tree here. So here's his Ascension Tree, and the next best tip I can give you is every single run early game until you get to that first boss, potentially even until you get through the second boss to stage 3. If this little guy ever pops up, take it. Unless you're like halfway through the second stage or close to the second boss and you know what your synergy is, and this doesn't help it as much as something else, this is by far the best perk in his Ascension Tree. The longer you can have dual wielding, not only makes you, more likely to clear enemies and get through. I said this in one of my last synergy videos, the best defense is a good offense. If you kill things quick enough, they can't hit you. It doesn't matter what defensive perks you have. If they can't hit you, because they're dead, they can't kill you. So dual wield early in the game, because the weapons you have early, you might like them, you might be trying to build synergy around them, but in reality, more than likely, those weapons are going to change by the end of the game. You very rarely keep one weapon throughout the whole game, so that's a pretty important one, and in my opinion, a pretty easy way to kind of figure out how you're going to build your Ascension Tree. Early in the game, take battle tested 100% of the time. There's never a synergy where this is bad for you, frankly, is what I'm trying to say. Also, it's tier 3, can make you just go infinite dual wield, which is always fun. Next, and another very important one along with that, this same veteran tree here is kind of probably one of the best trees in the game, because not only does it have battle tested, which is probably his overall best perk, but it has a ton of defensive buffs here. 4 sets of 3 defensive buffs. And this is kind of like a preference thing. Figure out which defensive buffs you enjoy the most and which ones work best for you. Personally, I think the 2 best ones are probably Survival Instinct, because if you're building more dual wield time, you're going to have that HP for longer, and that tier 3 is so fantastically amazing. And then the other one is probably Close Call, in my opinion, because it saves you from just getting absolutely blasted in one shot before you even knew it happened. But these 2 are not bad at all. So play around with these, but use them. Take advantage of his defensive perks, because sometimes your scrolls aren't going to help you out enough, and you really need this to get through, or maybe this is one of these is the game changer, what finally gets you to beat that second boss, beat that third boss. And it very well could be. I'm no joke, if I don't have the minus 90% damage scroll when you're more than 15 meters away, and I don't have any of these perks, I'm always genuinely scared when I get to the boss. And I've cleared the boss probably 20-25 times now, the final boss, but it still scares me if I don't have any of these perks and I don't have that scroll. So if you don't have that scroll, or even if you do have that scroll, it's still not a bad idea to take advantage of some of these defensive perks. The cat doesn't have anything like it. There aren't many scrolls that help you defensively too much. These can go big for you. Tip number 3. Oh, no, that was tip number 3. That's extremely awkward. Tip number 4. Weapon-wise and Ascension-wise, build around explosive synergies whenever you can, assuming you're trying to just win. Because the easiest way for you to win with this character is to build explosive synergies. This tree on this side, especially these 3 right here, and that one's okay early game, but these 3 especially, when you have a Justice or a Firefish, or the Crimson Fire Scale, or the Glimmering, which 2 of those are new weapons that just came out, but they all do explosive damage in one way or another. The higher you have this stuff stacked, the better your weapons become, and then the better your grenades become, and the better your run becomes. If you have dual wield stacked with some defensive perks and a little bit of explosive damage with some explosive weapons, you're set up in a pretty damn good spot to win a run. And I'm going to go through some more specific stuff here with the tree, this tree, and scrolls. It's going to give you an idea of, like, if you're a newer player or a more advanced player, and if you just want to go for crazy synergies, what the best options for you are. So in this tree, in my opinion, if you're a newer player, the best thing you can take in the Gunfire tree is lucky ammo. Once you're more advanced, once you have your actual like soul essence spent pretty full, you're going to be lucky shotting most of the time anyway. And a lot of your weapon inscriptions will have lucky shot, but early in the game, lucky shots are hard to come by. So if you're upgrading this, lucky shots really, really help. They do an extreme amount of damage. So lucky ammo, I think, early game for the Gunfire tree is the best one out of all of them. In the Veteran tree, battle tested. And in the Detonation tree, I believe Mad Bomber right here is the most important for a newer player, because not only does it up your explosive damage, but you gain personal immunity to explosion damage. So maybe you're not as comfortable with the rooms yet, or you're not as comfortable with the enemies yet. You don't know exactly what they do. This can help you avoid explosive barrels or explosive attacks of any kind, and really just kind of helps you take less damage. So it's an offensive and a defensive perk that early players can really benefit from. So more advanced players, I believe it's a little bit different. Actually, I think every single tree has a different perk that's better for advanced players. So in the first one, I think Twin Gunner is the best, because usually once you're more advanced, you start, understanding your ammo a little bit better. Hey, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do, this is what I've got the ammo for. You're more likely to take some ammo scrolls and upgrades and stuff to help you. So you're just more aware of what's going on. So Twin Gunner, your ammo consumption's doubled, but you're going to be pumping out damage. In the Veteran Tree, to go along with that, I don't actually think it's battle tested. I think battle tested is overall, overarching, one of the best thing in this Ascension Tree. But this little number right here, Sharpshooter, when you're using dual wield, you fill the mag immediately for both weapons and minus 50% reload time. If you have that and maybe Twin Gunner and maybe some explosive stuff, it doesn't really matter how long your battle tested lasts, because you're going to kill a boss or kill a room before it's over. It doesn't matter. Obviously, if you're going for like a full stage clear while having dual wield, then yeah, you're going to want that pumped up. But having Sharpshooter with Twin Gunner, or even just having Sharpshooter alone, can be enough to kill a boss without any battle tested buffs. And then last one for Detonation Tree, I believe Overloading, which is somewhere here. Rate of fire plus 30 seconds for 3 seconds after reloading, and just continues to go up. The faster you're firing, once again, the less likely you are to need longer dual wield. And you're probably not going to need the personal immunity to explosion damage. You might still take some, but you're probably not taking as much as newer players. The explosion damage is nice, but I think Overloading equates to more DPS, more overall damage you're going to do throughout your run. Now, if you want to just go for a busted synergy, let me give you the best three. And this is not even, in my real strong opinion, this isn't an opinion, this is just fact. If you're trying to get as much damage as you can, assuming we're going to an explosive synergy here, you want to get Sustained Fire. After killing an enemy or destroying an item, weapon damage and explosion damage plus 50. If you have an explosive weapon, you're getting double for the price, 2 for the price of 1, and that's never a bad deal. So Sustained Fire is very, very good. Then you want to get Battle Tested, because if you can go infinite dual wield with Battle Tested, plus you've got Sustained Fire, you're going to be pumping out so much damage. And then you want to go Explosion Enhancement, because the AoE benefits on Explosion Enhancement is dummy good for all explosive weapons and your grenades. You're going to be clearing rooms in half a second. So those three are the best if you just want to go all in on damage. Now let's talk scrolls a little bit. And this is all before we get into our 5th and final tip, which I'm very excited about. But I do want to go through some of the scrolls that are, and not like, I'm not going to go through, I'm going to make a whole separate video on just scrolls that are good. So I'm not going to go through some of the obvious ones that you should just take no matter what character it is, but some that work a little bit better with the bear than maybe the cat or maybe the third character when it comes out. First one, Untold Effect. When using secondary skill, there's a 50% chance to double the consumption and 50% chance to deal double damage. So every time you throw it, statistically, you're either going to get 2 grenades or you're going to get double the damage. Sometimes you'll get none, sometimes you'll get both, but that's pretty wild for the bear synergy. If you have a lot of explosives going on and you're throwing 2 grenades that are doing 100% or 50% double damage, and they are dealing double damage because both effects proc, this is so good, especially early game. Next is Flesh and Bones. This character has a very low shield but a high HP, so when you convert the shield to HP and you're recovering 2 max HP per second, I think it's good on the cat too, but I just think on the bear it makes a whole lot more sense, because there are some other cool things you can do with it, like taking Resolute. Plus 50% movement speed and plus 25% damage when your shield is 0. So if you have Flesh and Bones, your shield is always 0, so that effect's just always procced, and that's a very good effect to be always procced. Next one, I believe, yeah, this one is one that like you would never not take, but I think it's just a little bit better on the bear. Bullet Bank. All ammo picked up will be converted to match currently equipped weapon. With dual wielding, and if you're consuming double the ammo, you're going to be running out of ammo more often. So Bullet Bank is just a way to refill that instantaneously. Very, very good when you're running dual wield and consuming a lot of ammo with it. The next one is probably the best scroll in the game for the bear, especially if you have Flesh and Bone. Veteran. Plus 1% max HP, or plus 1 max HP for every enemy you kill within 7 meters. You're going to be up close and personal while you're dual wielding. You're going to be in their face gunning for them. So, if you're killing enemies, I think the most I had was over 150 stacks of this, because I got it real early. That's just plus 150 extra HP that you have. And if you have Flesh and Bones, you're putting yourself in a very, very good position to win a game if you just took this scroll and literally nothing else the entire game. Because you can just take hit after hit, and you're recovering HP with Flesh and Bones. Oh, I guess this scroll in Flesh and Bones. Because you're recovering HP with Flesh and Bones, and every time you kill an enemy that you're close to, you're getting more HP to recover. It's just so good. The last one that I have on here, a lot of the legendary ones are either they're just overall very good and you should take them no matter what, or they're like very synergy specific. The only one I could think of that was very well with the bear, and you can kind of see it matches the others. Safety measure. After taking damage, using dash within 1 second will recover 30% of damage taken as HP. So if you start to get used to dashing right after you take damage, and you have Flesh and Bones, so you don't even have shield, you're always going to be recovering 30% of the damage you take, which is always very, very good. So that's the only one I could really think of that was very obvious to synergize with like Flesh and Bones on the bear. So that's all the scrolls, and those are the 4 tips that I have, along with some of the Ascension Tree stuff that I believe you should be built. If you do all of that stuff, you're going to put yourself into a very good position to win a game. But there is another tip, a synergy game-breaking tip that can literally make or break Synergies if you know this information or not. Like, seriously, like, it's just can make such a big difference. And this is especially leaning towards the more advanced players, because if you're just trying to get just a little bit better or do just a little bit more damage, or speedrunners, if you're trying to get just a little bit quicker on your speed run, this next tip is going to absolutely just cover all of those bases. It's so good, and I'm so glad I found this and I'm able to share it with you guys. So let's hop in game and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, and here we are with the final crazy tip that once again I haven't seen anybody cover, and the fact that I found this out was just kind of pure luck, because I was using a Scorching Rounds and then a Prism, and I started to realize when I have my Prism out and I dual wield, my Scorching Rounds has 0 recoil. So I did some testing, and here are the results. So I just jumped into a game. I have no scrolls, I have no Ascension Tree builds, just a Angelic Aura and a Big Hippo. When we watch these weapons, I'm not going to move my mouse, I'm just going to hold down the trigger. Okay, a little bit of vertical recoil, nothing crazy. The Big Hippo, a lot of vertical recoil all over the place. But, if we dual wield, whatever weapon is in our offhand has 0 recoil. 0 recoil. It takes the recoil. The second gun always has no recoil, and the first gun has the same recoil it always has. So if I hit dual wield and put the Big Hippo in the offhand, well, I'm going to do the Angelic Aura first. It still has its vertical recoil, but the Big Hippo shoots lasers. Lasers. I'm just holding down right trigger. And it's about to run out, and in just a second when it recharges, I'll show you the other way. It's the same thing. it will always. So this is so important because I've had a Scorching Rounds multiple times. A Scorching Rounds is where this almost always comes into play. But, I mean, any weapon that has crazy recoil, if you just put it in your offhand and dual wield, it's that whole downside of that gun is just eliminated. It's just gone. The Scorching Rounds has a couple of perks, or a couple of inscriptions where it'll lower its accuracy by 40%, and then the recoil is just all over the place. It's very hard to control. But if you've got a Prism in the other hand, and the Scorching Rounds in your offhand, your Prism's not going to have any recoil, and your Scorching Rounds is going to be shooting lasers because it doesn't have any recoil. So you just eliminate recoil as an issue. Like, it's crazy. So if I go dual wield again, and I go Big Hippo, it suddenly has its vertical recoil back. But if I go Angelic Aura, lasers. And I can't tell you, since I figured that out, how many times I've used it. I know one of my regulars in my Twitch chat, IX, he told me that ever since I showed him that, he's been using it like crazy. And it really can just determine, like, make or break a synergy for you. If you're like, man, this is good, but I'm missing so many shots with this thing because I just can't, I can't hit them. The recoil's too much. It's too hard to control. This just eliminates that from the question. That's it. That's all I've got for the bear. I was really excited to find that little trick, a little sneaky trick for you guys to use. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see more tips, tricks, let me know down below what kind of stuff you want to see. If you want to see the cat, if you want to see boss tips and tricks, you want to see certain stage tips and tricks, maybe some scrolls, just some individual scroll tips and tricks, just let me know. Or if you want to see anything else, Gunfire Reborn related, speedruns, all weapon challenge, busted synergies, let me know, or catch it live at twitch.tv/theoriginalmako. Once again, link is in the description. I'm streaming nearly every day. We're having a lot of fun in there. Come join us. We're chill. We love to hang out, just talk with people. Me and Kyle, who stream it a lot, we'll just be doing runs. Just stop in and talk about your day. Let us know what happened, any cool stories you've got, and we're pretty good at reading chat mid-boss fight even. So don't worry, your chat will never get unnoticed. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate and love your faces, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.